Welcome in to 11 Personnel. It's time for one of our favorite shows of the year, the college football season win total. And we are coming in hot, Mr. Luckett. I somehow lost. How do you lose a microphone? I don't really know how that happens, but that's what I did today. The good news is, though, Luckett, it's not going to knock us off because what do they say about failing to plan? It's planning to fail. And I've done my research. You may be shocked by this, but sometimes we kind of just shoot from the hip on this show. Not this week, brother. I've been doing my research. I just hope you're locked in because I know right now Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are lighting it up. I need your undivided attention, Mr. Luckett.
That's how much I love this podcast. Willing to give this up for a season win total. So may or may not have the half screen on right here. So we're gonna have a podcast.
Well, we're here because we care about the people. We want to give you winners for this college football season. And we're here because of our friends at Monticello Bank. That's where people matter. They've been putting people first for more than 125 years to make sure you've got the best rates no matter what your banking needs are, whether it's unlocking the home equity you have built up, using that for something else in your home, or whether you need to get a new home, new car, whatever it may be. Monticello Bank, let them be your first choice in banking. Bank local. They've been serving our state for a very long time. Local banks are always going to hook you up, especially our friends at Monticello Bank. Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Mr. Luckett, we want to give the people some winners, and we really, I think we're going to touch on every power conference except for maybe the Big 12. Every power conference. I've got some G5, so this is going to be a nice way to preview the college football season at all. But I do think we need to at least mention off the jump that, yes, fall camp is in swing. You were hanging out with Brad White today, and I guess he's a big Jelly Roll fan.
That was right. Blogging about Jelly Roll was not on my bingo card, fall camp bingo card. So that was definitely caught me by surprise. But it's up at KSR if you want to hear what he said. And then I have actually the speech that he was talking about that Jelly Roll gave. Was it a good one? Embedded in the tweet. It's basically I don't know if you've ever familiar with Jelly Roll, but he does I don't know if he does motivational speaking, but the few speeches I've watched, he does a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, it's entertaining.
He had a hard knock life, right?
Yeah, and he kind of goes discusses that.
Makes sense. Then this team, they've got plenty of folks who lived hard knock lives. So, I wrote about one of them today. Seth McGowan. Kind of seriously, I've never had somebody say I was facing 70 years and actually be on the other side of it. So his story is incredible. I got that up on KSR.
Yeah. The interesting thing about, I'd say check that out and check out the interview on YouTube.
Yeah.
It hits home when you hear from him.
Yeah. It's different coming because he's so calm about it. In a way that you're just he knows that that's part of his life. He's moved forward from it, and he's I was way too immature at the time to understand what was important in my life. I'm living one day at a time, stacking up days. And I think in order to get to this point, you have to be very process-based, right? If you're going from NAIA to JUCO to that's CUSA? Is that New Mexico State?
Yeah, now.
Yes. Las Cruces, New Mexico, to get back to the SEC. You have to be very process-based to be able to be where you are and to get where you want to go.
Yeah, and I believe he talked about he had to go work for, I believe, his dad, I believe he said his dad, or maybe his uncle had to do that. To me, Nick, his interesting story because this, in the past, Kentucky or any power conference program taking a player with a background like this is a bigger story.
Right.
But it's not as much anymore, I think, with all the player movement and Just I think people are more kind of
It gets lost in the wash a little bit easier.
forgiving, I would say, on some of these issues.
That's true too.
But also, like, this is a story that will be on game day. Like, if Seth McGowan is good this year,
Yeah.
he will be featured on game day 1 week. That is my prediction. Like, that's because that's a story worth telling. Like, it's an interesting story.
Well, and I mean, he was awesome in their Cotton Bowl win for Oklahoma. He had a 72-yard run, caught 3 balls for 40 more yards. He was outstanding, had a very bright future ahead of him. And then to say it as plainly as possible, him and 2 other guys robbed a drug dealer. And one of them had a gun. They received felonies. He ended up pleading down to lesser charges, and the judge gave him a year probation after he sat in a jail cell for 3 months. But he had to eat his humble pie. That NAIA college he was at was an HBCU where he had, I believe his coach was also a former player who got in trouble. And so, you see all these parallels. I know Jay Boulware, he recruited him to Oklahoma originally. So there was a pre-established connection there that helped get him there. And of course, Stoops knows people in Oklahoma, so they liked him a lot there. That's a big mistake, right? You can't be doing that. And so he's had to pay for it. But Matt brings it up a lot. There is if you pay your penance, you should have an opportunity to get a second chance, and not everybody gets the second chance. So he's relishing this moment, and aside from all of that, they're very excited about him there. I shared this on KS Board. If you're not a member of KSR Plus, UK1 will get you 2 months access. It also comes with complimentary access to the Athletic for a year. But somebody who I talked to that's watched him a lot more than me this year, the comp that they drew was Isaiah Pacheco, who just runs like he's mad at the earth. He's just like he's trying to stomp on it because it did something mean to him. So
elbows and kneecaps.
Yeah. I can't wait to see this guy when there's actually tackling involved. He's a guy they're very high on. And it helps, too, that he doesn't have to do it all either. They've got another big guy, Dante Dowdell, that can share the carries, particularly in those in between the tackle and those really difficult hard yard situations.
Yeah, and I think with the scrimmage coming up, we're going to learn a lot more about kind of the run game and where Kentucky's maybe their run defense is. I think that'll be pretty telling once we kind of hear what happens when they have these scrimmages, which is coming up.
One more thing that we just heard from fall camp, because I remember your interview with David Gusta, which was pretty entertaining on the KSR YouTube channel. I think you asked him about Jagger, and it's happened in so many instances, but if you ask about the offensive line, people kind of unprompted bring up Jalen Farmer. And he said, gosh, 330, 19% body fat? That guy's a freak of nature. And when I brought it up to Jalen Farmer, he was like, well, it's actually 320, 18.5% body fat. I mean, he is a yoked up, solid man. We'd mentioned it before, but just that was my, I guess, big practice takeaway from Tuesday. Was just, seeing him in person, he looked a little chunky in the past. No, he is like yoked up, in great shape. His offensive line looks good. They got to put it all together. They got to get Jagger snapping on the ball right, and then they'll be good to go. I think everybody's good to go from a health standpoint too. Like, you saw Kendrick Law today?
Yeah, it looked like Kendrick Law was out there dressed in full pads. Did not see like anybody else in kind of a red jersey outside the quarterbacks. Now, that doesn't mean someone didn't miss practice today, but everything we're hearing, they're in very, very good shape health-wise.
Love to hear it. And we've got plenty of more fall camp coverage. Stoops will speak after the scrimmage on Saturday, and hopefully we're able to get some intel from some folks who are in the stands and able to watch that scrimmage. I do want to remind you that our preseason Kentucky football coverage is presented by Angels Envy. You know Angels Envy's bourbon. It's delicious. They finished that bourbon in a port wine barrel to give it a unique flavor that's unlike anything else. And that distillery, it's a beautiful spot. It's in downtown Louisville. We're going to be hanging out there, hopefully here, if not next weekend, the weekend after, to check it out, taste some bourbon, maybe give some college football, Kentucky football takes. The best part is when you take their private selection single barrel experience, you get to select an entire barrel. That's right. You can take home an entire barrel. Thieve from a barrel, discover your signature taste, and select the barrel that best suits your palate. So it's like you go in, you get to pick out which one you want. I don't really know how it works like it. That's why I want to get down there so they can show it to us. So going down to Angel's Envy Distillery, check it out. It's a great, fun weekend activity here in the Bluegrass. The bottles are perfect for home bourbon collections, corporate gifts, and unforgettable party favors. Select your barrel today. Remember, you must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly. And, minors, they can go on the tours too. You don't have to be 21 to go on the tour. I think our guy, Dr. Mike, does this where he'll pick out a barrel and then share it amongst his friends. That sounds like an awesome idea if you're a bourbon enthusiast. So go check it out at Angel's Envy Distillery. They're sponsoring our preseason coverage. And we'll have plenty more preseason coverage to talk about later. But like it today, let's talk win totals, right? This is the good stuff. This is the fun stuff. I love it. Just the whole process of it. Maybe give the folks behind the scenes. You don't have to share the entire secret recipe to the Angel's Envy in your picks, but maybe give them a little bit of some of how the process goes to whittle down to get your top locks.
Yeah, so I run through and make predictions for every schedule. So I have projected records for every team.
In the Power Four?
Yeah, that's typically how I do this. I've done kind of the G5, but that one to me is a little bit harder to handicap because I know less about those rosters.
Of course.
There's a lot more moving and shaking, like guys that move up I'm kind of getting in the weeds here. Guys that move up from the G5 to the P5, you kind of know about. Some of these G5 schools are late to kind of letting you know who's on their actual team.
Mm-hmm.
So for the P5 ones, I can do before kind of magazine season. Like for the G5 ones, I can't really do that. So I typically just do the P5, every P5 team plus Notre Dame, or P4 now, I guess, plus Notre Dame. And then basically I have records and I'll try to look for margins. So if a win total is 6 and I got a team winning 8 games, that's a circle, right? Like that's a 2-game difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or 1.5 is typically where most of my plays end up being. There's a 1.5 game difference. Now, and then it's whittling down after that. Then if I have a bunch of teams and I try to get it down to 10 or 5 for this exercise we do here on 11 personnel, then I start getting into more kind of, more of the, I guess, details of the team and how I kind of would feel about them when going game by game. So, but that's how I do it. And so that process takes some time. It was a lot easier to do before kids. It's a lot harder to find the time to sit down and just go through these schedules. But we're still doing it, and it's worked for us because we have, since doing this, I think my winning percentage is 75%.
It's pretty good for gambling. You don't usually get that in the wagering community.
And that's over 5 years, doing 10 picks a year. So we usually you got a good ROI on this. And so obviously it seems like it's working for me. So I'm going to stick with it.
Mine varies slightly. I won't do every single game, but I'll check, an SP Plus or somewhere that does I know Parker Fleming had one that I kind of looked at a little bit, but they'll have projected wins for a lot of those teams so I use their power rankings to get my baseline before I start looking for some discrepancies. And then I start checking schedules because really a lot of it comes down to finding what a team's ceiling or floor could be based on their schedule and how good do you feel about it.
Right.
And so there's also a little bit of, hey, these teams won a bunch of close games last year. Probably not going to happen again. Or these teams lost a lot of close games. Probably will figure it out the following year. So I have a couple. You are going to give out your full 10 on KSR Plus tomorrow.
Yes.
So I'm not going to ask you for yours that just missed the cut. But I will give you one that I'll give you at least one for me that missed the cut, maybe 2. The first one is just one that hit for me last year. Clemson, the juice just isn't there. It's at 9.5, but it was minus 230 over on BetMGM, who is now our official partner over at On3. I just can we bump it up to 10.5 and let me get some real juice? Like, you got to find the right way to do it. I really like Clemson this year. I don't like taking them at minus money to win the ACC, but I kind of think I need to. Like that. But Clemson will be in some sort of future of mine. They've been good to me since Dabo had his down year. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah.
They were 8-4 the year Kentucky played them in the Gator Bowl.
I bet on that year, but I said screw it. I'm not going away from this well because I got them at a good value last year. But they're stacked, and Klubnik isn't. I'm not going to bet on him to win the Heisman, but he's probably going to do well enough, and they're going to be good enough for him to be at that ceremony now in year 3 as a starter with a ton of reps under his belt, and they're awesome. So, but I can't give them out because the juice isn't quite right.
Yeah, I have a handful of those that I'll include in the column that I like that didn't make it because no one wants to bet minus 170 at the window. So I'm not going to give that to you at the picks. So if you want to do that, I have a few like Florida State under, Georgia Tech over, Nebraska over, Auburn over, are all ones I like. And there's a couple more.
That Auburn juice that was a lot. Yeah.
Those are just too much. So I'm not including them in this or in the column, but those are all ones I like.
The one that is that for me, Kansas over 6.5 is minus 155. They were 1-5 in one-score games last year, and they lost them in the most ridiculous ways. And I know they lost a lot from that team, but Jalen Daniels somehow still has eligibility, and they're back to playing at home. They had that whole screwy thing last year.
Yeah, the stadium looks awesome too. And they play week 0 in like their new stadium. They just totally gutted it and renovated it. It looks awesome. Yeah.
So I got a feeling that one can be an easy. And you know how the Big 12 is, right? Like that is it can be it can get screwy there. It can get a little wild in the middle of the pack. They're in the middle of that pack. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting at the top of Big 12 contention. And then Sam Houston, they are similarly to last year, they are not playing at home this year. They're playing 60 miles or something like that, I read, away from their home stadium because they're redoing theirs.
Yeah, I forgot they were doing that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so under 4.5 is plus money right now. I like hiring Phil Longo, but it might take him a minute to get that thing revved up. So that's another one who just missed the cut for me. I've been talking too long, Luckett, so I'll let you start with our official picks. Who is your first one on the board?
All righty, here we go. I caught some flack here, Nick, here recently when I appeared on SEC Mike's show. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Oklahoma, under 7.5. This is the highest odds I have on the board. It's minus 140 here. Again, Brent Venables has been there 3 years. They've had losing seasons twice. They're trying the whole transplant thing with Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer coming from Washington State. John Mateer has turned into Johnny Manziel this offseason in a lot of ways for a lot of people. That's been someone that a lot of people are like buying stock on. But quietly, like Venables lost his defense coordinator, so he's going to have to take over play calling. From a betting perspective, I like to bet against coaches that do that. I don't think that's typically I think it's hard to do both, be a head coach and be a defensive coordinator. They've got offensive line issues. The schedule's a brute. They play Michigan in the non-conference, so one of their non-conference games is no gimme. And then they have one of the toughest schedules in the country, and you're telling me that team's going to go 8-4 or better? I'll bet against that. So I'll take Oklahoma under here.
I think the other part of this too is just their schedule. I want to say they have 9 games against preseason top 25 foes. It's a lot. I don't know if it's 9 or 8, but it's a brute. And a lot of that too is away from home. I mean, one, you get Michigan coming in week 2, and they're no slouch. They're going to hit you in the mouth. You at least get Auburn at home with some breaks kind of in between before you get to Red River. And then it's a slog at the end of the season, man. Going to South Carolina, going to Tennessee, going to Alabama, LSU and Ole Miss coming home. Like, it's going to be tough. So while I don't think it was necessarily the worst decision to try to do let's just take a good offense and bring it in here. It's a lot of things have to go right, and even then, you're towing a fine line.
Yeah, I mean the first let's see, your first 6 weeks include a bye week in week 5, and then you've got the 3 kind of your cupcake games. One is randomly at Temple, but Illinois State is kind of a top 10 FCS team. They're probably going to be like the 3rd best team they face in those first 6 weeks. But 2 of those games are at home. Week 2, Michigan. Week 4, Auburn. So that's really kind of we'll have a good feel for that by the time they get to that bye there at the end of September. Just how those home games go against Michigan and Auburn. And after that Kent State game on October 4th, it's when it really heats up. Texas at South Carolina, Ole Miss at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, LSU. Like, that is a tough run for you to go on. And so, to me, like, they could be 7-5 and be really good.
Yeah, and your bet would hit.
And we've seen Venables teams twice. We've seen one team start hot, but then kind of fizzle towards the end. That was this 10-3 team, and the other teams, it just got off the tracks early and they couldn't get it back on.
Mm-hmm. One team who I think is going to struggle to keep it on the tracks, at least on a path to 9 wins. It's a team that I'm also been pretty publicly bearish on in the SEC, and that's the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss, we're going under their win total of 8.5. And Mr. Luckett, I've mentioned this before. I predicted a Kentucky victory over Ole Miss in week 2. They have the least amount of returning production in the SEC. Austin Simmons is in his first year starting, and he's only 19 years old. He reclassed up 2 spots to get there. I believe his returning leading receiver didn't have 10 receptions last year in Caden Lee. Something crazy like that. It's a completely brand new rebuilt team. They went all in a year ago, and they didn't have much to show for it. They had a 9-win season to show for it. The numbers will be much more bullish on them because when they won big, and they would put up gaudy numbers. And they'll still do that sometime this year, but like when you play the schedule game, even notwithstanding, like I'm taking out my Kentucky prediction. But, like, let's be real. Tulane and Kentucky are going to give them fits early in the year. Hell, Washington State might. Probably not. That team got completely gutted by the portal and conference realignment. But even if I give those to Ole Miss in games that could be a little bit tricky, I can get to 7. But in order to hit this over, they've got to win 2 games of Florida at home, at Oklahoma, at South Carolina, LSU, and at Georgia. They ain't beating LSU, ain't winning to Georgia. I know that LSU game's at home. LSU is a playoff team this year. Got the Heisman Trophy winner playing quarterback with an awesome star-studded group of receivers. I know you're not big on Oklahoma, but you think that game's going to be easy for them? You think going into Williams-Brice Stadium's easy? They have to win 2 of those games for my over to hit. So, like, I like the odds there, man. I think you're asking them to do a lot for a first-year starter. And I do go back to Jackson Dart's first-year starting. I mean, he even had a year under his belt at USC where he had played a lot of football, and they were 8-4 that year. So I just think you're asking way too much for a team to get back to that bar where they were a year ago with a brand-new roster. This is giving Kiffin too much benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, to me, like, you look at Ole Miss, and this is a reset year. I don't think there's any getting around that. They're not going to be as good on defense. They don't have near as good of a roster. Their receivers are going to be fine. Like, Caden Lee had a good year last year in the slot, and the guys they've added can play a little bit. They were productive at Penn State. Trey Wallace and Deshaun Stribling was productive at Oklahoma State. Offensive line is still kind of shaky. But they're going to be. I mean, it's a Lane Kiffin offense. It's really just a bet on how good you think Austin Simmons is. Because if they go 9-3 or better, Austin Simmons is probably awesome.
Yeah.
If they go 8-4 or worse, he's probably not a star, right? So it's really like, do you have a good read on Austin Simmons? Because that's what this bet is to me. Because of the schedule and everything you mentioned, like it's the team, the Jackson Dart that went 8-4. I believe that team started 8-1. They lost to Bama and kind of fell apart. But that team, I think, took advantage of what ended up being a really good schedule for them. This year's, I think, a little different in that regard. So really, it's however you feel about Austin Simmons. To me, this Ole Miss transfer portal class is not as good as the ones he's had. I think generally across the board, these portal classes this year, the market wasn't as good as some recent years we've seen. And so what does that mean for Ole Miss? We'll see. It feels like this is a year where they take a step back, and then what does it look like? It may be a year where we find out just how high the floor is. But 8.5, it sounds like a rich number when you can kind of consider all of that.
They also do the thing where, I think if I'm counting this correctly, they have 7 straight games to end the season where there's no bye. So, that can get tough. That can get tough on the depth. I also need to correct myself. Was totally wrong with Caden Lee. He had 57 receptions last year. I'm mistaking him for somebody else. My apologies. It's been a lot of number crunching. Let's crunch some more numbers, Mr. Luckett. Who you got up next?
Yeah, we're sticking in Oklahoma. What's the Oklahoma State nickname, Nick? What is it?
The Pokes. Go Pokes.
No, like the state. Like we're the Bluegrass State. Kansas is the Sunflower State.
Are they the Sooner State?
Colorado's the Sunshine State.
They're the Sooner State. Yeah.
Is that it? Well, they probably hate that. Oklahoma State probably hates that thing.
They got to.
So I'm sticking in Oklahoma. You can go back in our brief history giving out these win total picks.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma State's appeared here a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I've hit all of them with them. I like to buy when everyone's fading Mike Gundy. He has a track record.
Is this like Stoops with the motivated where he kind of just goes up and down? You got to be ready to hit it at the right price?
It might just be. He just has a track record here. And right now, Nick, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm not doing it. But Oklahoma State's 50-1 to win this conference.
That's pretty good.
Arizona State won this conference last year, and they were 3-9 and absolutely awful in Kenny Dillingham's first year. 3-9, 4-8, whatever their record was. They were awful. They turned around and then just caught fire with a team full of transfers. Gundy has gutted this roster. He's got a team full of transfers, and he took a pay cut this year. Remember, there was a whole thing with them in the kind of Oklahoma State.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Whatever if it's the Board of Regents or whatever it's called. He gets 2 brand new coordinators. Todd Grantham's calling this damn defense in the Big 12.
Wow. We've got third and Grantham?
Yeah. And then Doug Meacham, who's been a long time kind of TCU assistant. It's been a long time kind of Big Ten coordinator, wide receivers coach, quarterbacks coach. He's got a relationship with Gundy. He's called plays here at Oklahoma State. He's coming back to call plays. I just think I like this spot for them. And they just have to get to a bowl game with all this. Now they go to Oregon in the non-conference week 2.
Not ideal.
Tough. That is tough, but they don't play Utah. They don't play Arizona State, which I think are probably the best 2 teams in this league entering the year. It's the 9 conference games. So they get 5 home games, 5 conference home games. And their road games, Nick, are at Arizona, at Texas Tech, at Kansas, at UCF. That's very doable.
UCF this year. People forget that Scott Frost is their coach.
Yeah. And then their home slate is UT Martin, Tulsa, Baylor, Houston, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Iowa State. The last 2 are probably the toughest 2. I could see 8-9 wins for this team. Things bounce right. And I think if it's not a great year, I think they can still get 7-5. All I need is 6-6. So I'm on the Pokes again.
I love that you're on them again. I tried to go back to the Iowa well. I wanted to so badly, but that's the schedule's a bear this year. It not easy to get there. I wanted to get there, couldn't do it. We'll find a way to bet on the Hawkeyes this year. You best believe that that'll be happening.
Yeah, they were an over principal team last year. The overs kept hitting.
And now they got a quarterback, Gronowski. Watch out. Watch out. Let me get to my next pick on the schedule. And this is where we're going to take a stroll over to the group of 5 ranks. And Mr. Luckett, I want to tell you how I got here. I got here in a very weird way because we know the crazy story between Marshall and Southern Miss. Charles Huff wins the Sun Belt a year ago, former Alabama assistant, but I don't know what the hell's going on there. There was clearly some disagreement between him and the administration. So they basically said, like, you're not coming back. And he said, oh, I'm not? Well, I'm going to Hattiesburg, and I'm taking my whole team with me. Initially, I was wanting to bet on Huff to succeed because, that's a little bit more fun. I really, after being down in Hattiesburg, you see that stadium. They have a passionate fan base that's starving for wins. I want to see them succeed. But people hammered them early. They were already up to a win total of 5.5. And sorry, Luckett, I can't go from a 1-win team to a bowl team like that. Like, it's asking too much from me. If I would have got them at 4.5, hell yeah. 5.5, asking too much. So I said, well, what if I just bet on Marshall to stink? And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, oh man, they're really going to stink. Well, let me tell you about who's their roster this year. No passer on the roster threw for a yard last season. No returnee rushed for a yard. 2 returnees caught passes. Those responsible for 49 of 65 O-line starts are gone. 1 of 8 defensive linemen with 50 snaps returns. The total linebacker snaps returning is 3. 2 of 13 DBs with at least 13 snaps returned. This roster was completely gutted, and you know who they have to be their white knight, their savior, as their head coach? The guy who tanked Dave Doran's defense. That defense was awesome in NC State for years, and then they just completely bottomed out last year. And Tony Gibson needed to get out. He found it at Marshall. This is going to be a disaster, Luckett. I'm taking under 4.5 wins for the Thundering Herd, who go to Georgia or Ohio State in week 2, I want to say.
Yeah, it's just a tough. I think Georgia. They were at Ohio State last year.
Georgia in week 1. Yeah.
It's just a tough situation. Like, the roster's just got – I mean, they couldn't play in a bowl game last year because everyone left.
Yeah, it's crazy. A 10-win team, and everybody just left. Went to Hattiesburg.
Yeah, I mean, basically because the coach situation. But, yeah, it's just a very tough situation. And longtime defensive coordinator being a first-time head coach, I feel like it always starts slow for those guys. So, yeah, I think that's the right side. That feels like the right side. They would have to hit on something really kind of unique there to kind of go over there. And that league's tough. It's got a lot of programs invested.
Yeah, James Madison is predicted to win the Sun Belt. They've got them on the slate
Alabama
this year.
They'll be in the mix. Texas State will be up there.
Yeah, they've got Texas State on them.
Louisiana's good.
Go to Coastal. I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough sledding for the Thundering Herd. So we're fading Marshall and the Fighting Chad Penningtons. I believe his son, I wonder if he's still there or if he was a part of that mass exodus too. Cole Pennington. Shout out Sarah. There's your shout out. Mr. Luckett, who you got up next?
Well, no Iowa, but we're Big Ten.
Weren't you on Rutgers a year ago?
We were on the Rutgers over last year. And
we got there. I think we both – I was on that one as well.
We're on the Rutgers under this year. 5.5 going under. Rutgers back-to-back 7-5 campaigns. But if you go back and listen to this episode last year, I was high on Rutgers because, like, if you would have told me a team in the Big Ten did the Indiana thing last year, I would have guessed it was Rutgers. Because they had all these home games, the schedule lined up.
Yep.
Like, it was almost like a disappointing 7-5 because you felt like they had a real chance at a 9-3 type season. To me, 5.5 this time, Nick. Listen to these Big Ten home games this team has.
Oh, yeah. It's brute.
Iowa, Oregon, Maryland, Penn State.
Yeah, and they don't have a rivalry, but Rutgers and Maryland are in that same, we got to beat each other if we want to be worth a damn.
Right. And then at Ohio, the last 2 games, Ohio State, Penn State. So if they're not at 6 wins on their bye on November 15th, it's going under.
It's one we're going to know early. That you like when you know you're early that your bet's going to catch.
But even these road games like Minnesota, Washington, Purdue, Illinois, they're going to be favored at. They'll be favored at Illinois, but right now they're going to be a dog at Minnesota, Washington, and Illinois. Now the 3 non-conf they have a pretty easy jump out the gate. They're going to be 3-0. Ohio, Miami, Ohio, Norfolk State. But if they lose to any of those MAC schools, this thing, that over's cooked, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just like where they're at. They lost their defensive coordinator to UMass. Offense has always been shaky there. It seems like they're going to have to be leaning more on offense this year. Kyle Monangai, who was a guy I was really high on. I can't remember who drafted him. Was it the Bears? I think, the Bears drafted him. It's a guy I liked a lot. Their tailback kind of carried their offense. I just think this is the time to fade Rutgers. And 5.5, I like that. Is this team going to go to bowl games 3 years in a row with that kind of schedule face against them? I have my doubts.
Don't think so.
And so I'm taking Rutgers under.
5.5
here, and you get plus odds on this right now. It is plus 130. You can get it at BetMGM Sportsbook.
A lot of it is going to come down to the Caliac-Manis Bowl in Minnesota. If they don't win that, how are you? It's going to be hard to get there. And people are pretty
September 27th. Yeah,
people are pretty high on the. I'm not Big Ten Tommy over here, but a lot of those Big Ten Tommies believe that the boat might be rowing among all those former Big Ten West teams, that they kind of have the right schedule to be able to exceed expectations for a lot of folks at the Golden Gophers. So I'm going to stick. I got one more G5 pick, Luckett, because I like this hire during our Coaching Carousel podcast. I've seen some of his success in the past, and he's taken it with him. Florida Atlantic, their win total is 4.5. They're no longer in CUSA. They're in the American, and the over right now is at plus 115. And for the longest time, they just kept trying to do the retread thing because Lane Kiffin worked out for them. So they were like, well, let's hire Charlie Strong. Let's get Tom Herman. Let's get all these. Didn't they have Willie Taggart too? I guess Charlie Strong was South Florida, but it was Taggart who was there. I get
Tom Herman after Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. And that just failed miserably. This can work. Getting Zach Kitley, who was at Texas Tech for 3 years, then he went and put up some big passing numbers with Caden Veltkamp at Western Kentucky last year. He's bringing Veltkamp with him, along with Easton Messer, who was his top target at the slot. Christian Academy kid from here in Louisville. They're going to be both in Boca this year. And it's kind of the opposite with what we talked about first-year defensive coaches. If you've just got a first-year head coach who's got a system that works, has offense, will travel. The way I look at it when trying to do this schedule math, there's 3 wins early that are very easy, and you tell me I've got to get 2 more wins out of their final 6. So just got to bat 300. We got to get into the Hall of Fame. Well, 3 of their last 4 are very winnable. Tulsa at home, UConn at home, East Carolina at home. Those are very winnable. Not to mention, they also go to South Florida. Oh, you could take that. You can win that game. And then, hell, they might give Maryland some trouble in that opener. So I feel like that isn't a very hard number to get to. So I'm betting on offense. I'm betting on these a little American action we'll get in on Friday night. So hopefully we got some midweek investments in our future with the former WKU products down in Boca.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the Carousel show. I was intrigued by the Kitley hire. I think that could really work for them.
Yeah, could be a nice. You could see
fun brand of ball.
You could see 5 or 6 wins this year, and then he's at 9 wins in year 3, and then moves up the ladder.
Right, gets a Big 12 job.
Yeah. So, Mr. Luckett, we got a couple more picks to give out, but before we do, when we're giving out all these winners, make sure you take those winnings and you invest in your wardrobe A new game day gear collection just dropped at Roback.com. They got new Kentucky polo, new Kentucky game day polo. It used to just have the states on it. Now it's got the helmets, the jerseys, a little megaphone. It's wild. There's a lot going on there. They also got a blue Q-zip, new black hoodie. So I was in need of a new Q-zip, so I'm glad I got a new one coming in from Roback because I use promo code KSR to get 20% off your first purchase at Roback.com. RHOBACK. That's Roback.com. Use promo code KSR for 20% off your first purchase. They don't just have Q-zips and polos. I love their built tech tees. They're really nice. They're very comfortable and also not too formal, along with their shorts. They've got all of the best gear at Roback. Promo code KSR, 20% off your first purchase at Roback.com. Mr. Luckett, your next selection.
Yeah, it's not win totals unless we're living in the ACC a little bit.
So you love some. You love the ACC chaos.
Right now. Wahoo! Virginia Cavaliers.
The Fighting Lachlan McLeans.
Fighting Lachlan McLeans. Under 6.5 wins. Nick, you can get this. It's got to lay a little bit. -135. Tony Elliott, Nick, is 11-23 through 4 seasons at Virginia. They actually spent some money in the portal, and they had a big portal class. But this is a program that has not gone 7-5 or better since 2019. And you're telling me that's what this team's going to do? I'm going to fade that. I just think there's enough landmines on there in ACC play where they'll trip up enough. And so give me Virginia under 6.5 here. I think, 6-6, I think will be a good year, but 5-7 feels more likely than 7-5 here for Virginia.
Okay. We had somebody, a Louisville fan, on our text line today, and his hot take was that Louisville wouldn't be undefeated by their Miami road trip, and they've got a game at Pitt against Virginia at home. And TJ's like, oh, those are 2 easy wins. There's no way they're losing. I'm like,
Pitt kind of has their, at Pitt, I don't think they've won there since they've been in the ACC. I think they've lost 4 or 5 in a row. There, and Braum their first year with Braum, they got shellacked up there. Remember, that was the whole.
Yep, that was their lay a dud game. Yep.
Yeah. Lost to 3-9 Pitt. But not only lost, they got blown out, I think.
Yeah, it's also Louisville's first ever trip to Lane Stadium this year. So
we're gonna get to them later.
Interesting. My next selection, Mr. Luckett. It's speaking of Pitt. My final 2 picks. These are my take it to the bank, rock'em sock'em robots, lock 'em up, because it happens every year. I share my favorites, and you say, already got them on the board. Because I love the spot that Pitt is in. You mentioned that 3-9 season, and they took a step forward last year until the end of the road. They had Eli Holstein playing quarterback, and it looked like they found something. They started losing. He gets hurt. They end up losing 6 straight. He didn't play in 3 of them, and the injury happened in the 4th, so he wasn't really around for much of that. You're getting him back, and I just 3 of those 6 losses were by 1 score. So part of me is just banking on them to bounce back after this, and then the other part of it is also, it's the ACC, man. Let's be real. It's the ACC. I know the backyard brawl is typically a swing game for both teams. It's very much similar to the Kentucky-Louisville series, and they have to go to West Virginia this year. There's some skeletons in Rich Rod's. Say what?
It's a game Pitt should win.
Yeah, and Rich Rod's got some skeletons in his closet from that game the last time he played in it. So, there'll be some nerves there, but they get Boston College and Louisville at home. Travel to Florida State, that should be a win. NC State should be a win. They got to go all the way out to Stanford, but that team is a disaster, an absolute catastrophe with all the moving parts there that Andrew Luck's trying to put together. So they avoid the except for the season finale where Miami's at home. they avoid all of the big dogs in the ACC.
Yeah, to me, Nick, it's almost the start's huge here. The first 9 games is kind of where this bet's going to be won or lost, potentially. Last 3 games, Notre Dame at home, at Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
Miami at home. Going to be dogs in all 3 of those games. Maybe touchdown plus dogs in all 3 of those games. And so you really have to win the bet before that. Obviously, Duquesne, Central Michigan, and the non-conference, those are wins. And the West Virginia game is a huge swing game, I think, for this. But if they win that West Virginia game, and then you start to see an avenue here for them, a real avenue. Boston College at home, at Syracuse, NC State at home, at Stanford, all games you feel like they should win or could win. And so they kind of fixed some of their problems on offense, and they're always a little salty on defense there with Doozy. Typically, like he's had a couple kind of speed bumps where they've gone a 3-9, 4-8, but they typically stack some good years together, and you just need them to go 7-5 here. You're not asking for a crazy big year. So
exactly.
That's why that's just in my play. I like the offense. This offensive coordinator they got, Cade Bell, might be like a future big-time star in college coaching. He's a name to watch. He's only like 32, 33 years old. So he's a name to watch moving forward. And they always seem like they have like a pro or 2 or 3 on that defense. And so Pittsburgh, I like them specifically if they get off that hot start 3-0. Like you can almost go to the book and say, can we get some equity back? Because this thing's going to cash. So can I go ahead and get some money back? You're going to feel really good about that after the first 3 if they're 3-0.
Let's get that dub. Luckett, your last pick. This has got to be the lockingest lock of all locks. Am I right? Save the best for last?
Yeah, I don't know. BetMGM doesn't offer it. Maybe you could find it in your other places. But if you could make a bet to make the ACC championship game, it's always a random team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Clemson or Miami will be there.
Most likely Clemson.
And then who is the other one? Because it's almost never the top 2, right? That you expect.
Louisville was a surprise 2 years ago.
Pittsburgh,
SMU
Wake
a year
Forest,
ago.
Louisville, SMU, Virginia, 2019.
Yeah, people forget that.
Coastal Chaos would always deliver. Virginia Tech here, I like for a lot of reasons.
Kyron Drones, he's back, baby.
This is over 6.5. There were 4 games Virginia Tech played last year. They were either winning or tied at the 2-minute stoppage. They were 0-4 in those games. Everyone remembers the Hail Mary against Miami, right? But there was the Vanderbilt game. Like if Kyron Drones doesn't get hurt, I think they beat Vanderbilt.
Yep.
There in that week 1. Drones got hurt. It would just they just had a weird year. But when they won, they beat the piss out of teams. Now, the worry is Brent Pry's got kind of a Scott Frost close game record thing going on.
Yeah, I found a Reddit thread, and the Virginia Tech fans are starting to kind of wonder if this is a one-off bad luck or if this is just Brent Pry as a head coach.
Yeah. Now, he's got 2 new coordinators, but he's got Drones is an absolute playmaker. Benji Gosnell is a really good tight end. And then I like the receivers they got in the portals, highlighted by Donovan Green, who's struggled with injuries at Wake Forest, but has been awesome. And then the running back they got from Bowling Green was a stud last year, and I think he'll be good in that conference. So Virginia Tech, Nick, they play 2 SEC games SEC teams out to shoot here. I think they get one of them, and I think they're a live dog in that week 1. They will probably be in Luckett's Locks week 1, catching 8.5. They're in Atlanta that's Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
When do you fade South Carolina? It's beginning of the year. That's typically when South Carolina has their struggles. I like Virginia Tech.
Beamer hasn't gotten enough bulletin board material yet to get his folks fired up.
No, Clemson doesn't show up on the schedule. They don't have Notre Dame because some teams, some ACC teams like Pitt have that random Notre Dame game. They don't have that. Their home slate, I think, in the ACC is really manageable. Wake Forest, Cal, Louisville, and then Miami. Miami will be kind of tricky, but they get them both. Both of those teams have to come in there when the elements are going to be a little shaky there in Blacksburg. I just think it's a team that could be built to surprise. I think Drones is awesome when he's healthy. And so if he can stay healthy, I think you could see this team really make some big noise, and they just have to get to 7 wins.
There was a time when I was hearing that Drones might be Kentucky's quarterback this year. There was some talk, and ultimately he decided to return to Blacksburg for one more year. It'd be nice to see Lane Stadium get to rocking and rolling again. That's a good venue. Their fans show out, unlike most ACC schools. So would like to see them get back to their winning ways. Look, this is a team that I feel like appeared in our pigskin preview quite a bit last year. I remember on a Friday night, Rutgers versus Washington, fading Washington and sweating out that game down in Oxford.
Good times.
Oh, man. It was a lot of fun. Some people think, that was a one-off after the year Kalen DeBoer had. Jed Fish, he'll get him right. Not so fast, my friends. Not so fast. Washington, under 7.5 wins this year. And a lot of it really is just predicated on the schedule. And also fading why people just believe in this team. Why do they believe in this team? Because Damon Williams was really good in a very small sample size as a true freshman. He's a runner who had 6 total touchdowns and only 1 pick in 2 starts. But he doesn't have really any help that has done anything around him, right? You're very reliant on the portal to surround him with talent. Right now, the SP plus win expectancy is only 6.3. That's a whole game under, and that's using the advanced stats. The big part of the puzzle is the schedule, because Washington, they've got the big 4, right? They play them all. They've got Ohio State. Granted, that game's at home, but they got Ohio State. They travel to Michigan. They have Oregon at home. It ain't no picnic. I guess the only one they're avoiding is Penn State. People are really bullish on Illinois. And I know they've got to travel there, but there's a lot of people that, they won 10 games last year. So you've got to win 8 games. You got to go 8-4 with this schedule. It's going to be tough, especially Luckett. Here's my real ace in the hole. When I saw this, I just was like, oh, sign me up. Where's that ticket at? Where do I make that bet? You know who that defensive coordinator is this year?
I knew you were going. That was still in my thunder. This was going to be around 5. But yes.
Our boy Ryan Walters.
I knew you couldn't. It's just like that's why they put the candy bars at the counter, because you just know you're going to grab one. It's just right there. Oh, that sounds good. Just throw that on there.
I'm just disappointed that I missed my opportunity to really fade Ryan Walters a year ago. Of all the bets I've rode with you on, betting on them to cover against Notre Dame, there's never been a quicker loser.
Yeah, if you're gonna bet a big dog like that, the sooner you can okay, it's over. And that thing was over about halftime. I think it was the under. Wasn't we on the? I think we were on the under.
And they had
basically just don't
give up the 50 burger.
Just don't let them score 40.
And they had 49 at half.
I think they had 42 at half or something. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Under in that, yes.
Because that's something that last year, what kept Washington in a lot of games is Steve Belichick is actually pretty good defensive coordinator. And they're trading him for Walters, which I know Walters got this reputation, but nobody's liked him anywhere he's went. They hated him in Columbia. I forgot who I met from Big Ten country that they couldn't say enough bad things about the way he left Illinois. Guy's just kind of a loser. So he's bringing his losing mentality to Jed Fish. Damon Williams is going to have to do everything for them to get to 8-4. So give me the under. That juice right now is right at -110. So Washington under 7.5 wins. Take it to the bank.
Yeah, Nick, just on this, they're going to win the 3 non-con games, or at least they should. It should be 3-0 start the year. Where this is really going to be won and lost to me is kind of these road games. Right. When I'd say road games, at Maryland.
Yeah, it's a long way to go.
At Wisconsin, at UCLA. 2 of those cross country. This is where you're going to kind of win or lose this bet to me, because you know what's up against them. They're probably going to get somebody you can see them like Illinois. I think that's a good spot for them. I kind of like them just looking at that game on paper. Purdue, home game is one they should win. That's 5 wins right there. Rutgers is maybe one you should get. That's 6. So but then you're looking at those what happens in those road games, I think will probably determine how this plays out.
So you're banking on a team to either punch above its weight or consistently win on the road, which is the hardest thing you can ask a team to do. So
Right.
I really liked what Jed Fish did at Arizona. That was a very, very fun football team to watch. And
Yeah,
I think
they're better
it's a
on
smart
paper
move.
this year.
Yeah.
They're better on paper. It's just how do they manage these? Really, it's these road trips. Even at Washington State, I would throw in there. These road games will kind of determine their season to me.
Better team, worse record sort of situation. And they might not even have a worse record. They might be a 7-5 team.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
7-5,
and, we're still cashing. We're still got a winning ticket if that happens. Mr. Luckett, your final play of the day. Oh, wait, you already did. Yeah, you did your 5. Sorry. All right. Yeah, I'll let you go first. My bad.
We're all done. 10. So the total, we'll have 10 tomorrow. Nick, do you have any other exotic plays you want to share for the college football season?
And I didn't get. I'm betting Texas to win the national championship, and some of that's it.
Same. 5-1.
Yeah, some of it's an arch. Like you're betting some of it on arch, but it does feel like they kind of got this thing teed up for this year. Colin Simmons is a freak. I mean, yeah, just give me that. Give me that.
Yeah, and I shared like the bomb play, Oklahoma State 50-1 to win the Big 12. I kind of like Penn State, number 1 overall seed. You can get that in the playoff for, I believe, 7-1. So definitely like that.
One other I like at plus money. It's not a huge, I think, but I did this with last year with Penn State, where it was like plus 150 in the preseason. LSU to make the playoff is plus 130 right now. And if they just win week 1, you're probably cashing that. I mean, I know that's a tall ask, but they got to eventually win one of these season openers, right? I know Death Valley. This might be the hardest one they played, but I feel like they're eventually going to win one of these. And even if they don't, the schedule's pretty manageable for them to go 10-2 or even a 9-3. But it could be an awesome looking 9-3 where they just kick everyone's ass and they're able to get up.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when it gets closer, but I'm not touching that game. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, because, it's going to be wild. If nothing else, LSU plays dramatic games in those spots.
To me, like the game that's standing out, Texas is a dog week 1. They won't be a dog the rest of the year. Maybe at Georgia.
Maybe.
But I think they might be so good that they might end up like laying a point at Georgia. Yeah. Like you're getting them as a dog. And I just think if you look just on paper that they just got a better roster, I think, than Ohio State. They've got coaching continuity. Ohio State's breaking 2 new coordinators in. Last time Hartline called plays, it didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens this time with a new quarterback. I just think the revenge factor, right? I like Texas there. I really do like them a lot in that week 1 game, and I like them to win the whole thing. They just feel like they've knocked on the door. They've paid their dues a little bit. It feels like now it's kind of their time.
Yeah, they've got that play on repeat of the strip sack. I think they'll be ready to rock and roll. The thing I hate most about listening to college football gambling shows is that they have to do weekly Heisman bits, and I just hate it because they're all trying to be like, well, I got him at this number, and I'm trying to do this number, and blah, 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 and it's just so damn annoying. So I'm not going to try to be cute and play with the numbers. I'm just going to make a preseason pick and take Nussmeier at 9-1. Maybe if they lose that opening game, you'll get it at a slightly better price, but he's going to put up some numbies this year, man. He's going to put up some crazy numbers. They got a lot better receivers around him too, from the portal. We know one of them very well, and I actually think Barryon's in a much better spot because he can just be wide receiver 3 and only have to catch 3 passes a game, sort of deal. So Nussmeier to me is just I've seen Brian Kelly do this before with a quarterback who I think is worse than Jaden Daniels. I know we saw him in the conference championship last year, but as far as like what going into that year, like I thought Jaden Daniels was good coming out of Arizona State, but Nussmeier is one of those guys. He's the son of a quarterback's coach. Is he still the Eagles quarterback's coach? Maybe. I don't know. He's in the NFL. His dad
I
is.
believe so.
Yeah, and his brother's a quarterback. Like he waited his time. He got his turn. They asked him to do everything last year. If he just cuts back on the picks, man, and they give him somewhat of a running game. I know they've got that Notre Dame back, I believe, who was injured last year coming back. So like, yeah, give me Nussmeier 9-1.
He's the Saints offensive coordinator now, Nick.
Okay,
he was with the
up.
Eagles last year, quarterbacks coach. He's the offensive because he followed Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is the head coach with the Saints, and he's the offensive coordinator in New Orleans, which makes sense because for him, like,
hell yeah,
it's going to be easy to make those drives on Saturday before home games. You could go to the game and then get back to the hotel, I would imagine.
I would say that a fun Heisman bet. The juice isn't great, but Jeremiah Smith plus 1,000.
Yeah, like it's a quarterback award, but
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith 11-1, I believe. To me, two quarterbacks I would look at: Carson Beck 18-1, and then Sam Levitt 20-1. Sam Levitt, like if you look at some of the QBR numbers, he was like one of the best in the country at the end. He's going to get you some rushing stats, and if they go 10-2 or better again, they're going to be right in the mix. And Beck, I think Miami's got a legit chance to go 10-2, 11-1. He's going to play in some high-profile games. He's already in a name.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go and beat Notre Dame early in the year and he throws for 4,000 yards, I think he's going to be there in the mix. But Nussmeier is probably like, I think he should be considered the favorite for this.
Yeah.
Arch, I just don't know. And with Arch, there's enough pieces around him where they're maybe not have to ask him to do it a whole lot. Where LSU's going to ask Nussmeier to do everything, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to have these monster numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sellers, obviously, I think they'd have. I don't know if they're going to win enough games for it, but he could have one of those type 30-20 type seasons that we saw in the past. That was almost automatic if you have that type of year.
Yeah, it's just who around him is going to do it. Is it going to be the defensive end? I mean, We'll see. This has been a fun show, as always. Remember, check the column on KSR Plus tomorrow for more of Luckett's Locks as we get you geared up for the 2025 season. Gave you plenty of time to get these bets in before week 0 and week 1. This might be our last Thursday show. We're going to be slowly switching over to Wednesdays, and it might be next week. It definitely will be 2 weeks from now. Might be next week. That's TBD, but
we'll be making picks here right around the corner too.
Oh man, we'll be here.
Week 0 is 2 weeks away, brother.
Can't wait.
I cannot wait to bet Iowa State money line.
Hell, I can't wait to go watch some more preseason football, even the second half of the third stringers. So it's here, baby. We're back. He's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. This has been 11 Personnel.